This topic is so important for everybody's life, but then it is becoming so boring. It was dance and drama which was introduced to teach about these things in a very entertaining and dramatic way. First inspiration for me was to create something related to Shiva. That is very short. But then how Shakti has entered into it and how she made her place and told that I want to be here. That's what I feel. That it's so very spontaneously things happened, and Ekam Shiva became Ekam Ardhanarishwaram. And all my audiences, I don't know why, but they were all youth. I can see in the audience, 90% it was the youth sitting. It is a proper classical art, and today's very new generation is sitting and watching at the edge of the seats and not leaving to chodi do aap, but then they were so involved into it. My family is very, very spiritual and religious. I wouldn't even say them as two separate words. I think they are both same. You can't be spiritual and not religious. So that's a very new agey thing that we are going through today. The fact that we are trying to define Shiva Tattva in one line, I wouldn't say it is ever possible. But then, at the same time, he is who can take every form, and he is not confined to one form. It is like
शेफील्ड मराठी सांस्कृतिक मंडळाच्या दुसऱ्या नवदुर्गा पॉडकास्ट मालिकेच्या पर्वात आपल्या सर्वांचं स्वागत. यावेळी आम्ही हे पॉडकास्ट इंग्रजी व मराठी या दोन्ही भाषात करणार आहोत व आजचा भाग हा इंग्रजीत असेल. The delicate balance of the Vishwa has always relied on the symbiosis between Purusha and Prakriti. In other words, just like matter, antimatter, potential kinetic energies, masculine, feminine aspects need to be in sync for the universe to run smoothly. Modern physics has expounded this concept with many breakthroughs in recent decades. However, Sanatan Sanskriti always honored and imbibed this phenomenon in their daily lives. Nowhere does it come to personification and the divine form of Ardhanarishwara of Shiva and Shakti. Our guest today has taken upon herself to illustrate this phenomenon through her Kuchipudi Nritya Sadhana. She is the founder of Shri Hiranmayi Nrityalaya, and she has mentored over 200 students from not only from Bharat but also countries such as the US, the UK, Germany, Nigeria, Saudi Arabia in Kuchipudi Nritya Kala. She is associated for over a decade with the Department of Language and Culture, Government of Telangana, Indian Council of Cultural Relations, Ministry of External Affairs, Government of India, Telangana Sangeet Nataka Academy, Government of Telangana. She's been honored with several puraskaras for her sadhana, Nritya Vilasini, Nritya Kala Sampurna, Charushili Rashtriya Yuva Nartaki Puraskar, Star Sanmana, and many more. It's both our pleasure and privilege to host Priyanka Bharde today. Priyanka ji, welcome to the NavDurga podcast 2024.
Thank you for the lovely introduction, and I'm so glad to be here, mainly because of the cause and the thought that went through, and I'm really excited for the further discussion.
Thank you. So, your list of accomplishments runs so long that I have been able to cover them all and do justice to it. But as when we talked previously in discussion of this podcast, we talked about your profile as well. But for our audience, would you like to walk us how you got into your Nritya Sadhana and how has been your journey so far?
Okay. If I have to say, like, when did I start dance, I couldn't pinpoint like that, because from my childhood, I have been a very artistic person. It could be dance, it could be painting. I am very fond of painting, and anything doing artistically was my innate nature from my childhood. So I think because of that, I have been looking for, not like actively looking for any Kuchipudi dance guru, but then someone who can mold me in the art field. And on one fine day, I found my guru, Dr. P. Rama Devi Garu. She's from Hyderabad, and she's the one who completely taught me what Kuchipudi is, what is the tradition, and I owe all my sense of sticking to Shastra because to her. She's the one who guided me in such a way that I do not just out of passion fly away here or there, but then we stick to the Shastras, to the tradition. At the same time, she gave me so much freedom to bring innovative pieces, and that is something I feel a very rare combination that you can find in a guru. So, tradition and innovation can be very good friends, is what she taught me. So, she's the one who made me do my certification and diploma with distinction in Kuchipudi. And then I did my master's from Poti Sri Ramalu Telugu University in Hyderabad. By God's grace, I got gold medal there, and I would give that to my gurus who have been so patient with me throughout the journey. And currently, I'm pursuing my PhD research. And apart from this, I also go as a professional lecture demonstrator for foreign delegates who come for some programs to attend in India, and I go there to talk about Indian culture, and that fills me with pride that ultimately all my work throughout the years is coming to a place where it is representing my country and culture.
Fantastic.
One of the things which, thank you very much for that kind of humble introduction. But I'll tell you what was really impressive about you. I watched your speech in Pune on YouTube, and I also noted that you are actually a techie as well. That's right, isn't it? You're a systems architect.
Yes, I work as a system
Yeah,
architect.
so help me with this, because most people associated art with one thing and technology as being very dry. So please help us understand how you combine these two completely different aspects, and what similarities do you see between being the systems architect and being a Kuchipudi Nrityangana?
Oh, I feel that's my most beautiful part of my life, where I'm able to explore both the ends of existence. One is fully artistic and one is fully logical and scientific. As I said, I was an artistic person, but at the same time, I was very much into science. I'm a science student. Even today, I remember all those theorems. The physics was my most favorite, by the way. And I used to really get fascinated about cosmic events that happen, black holes, and even minor particles like the atom. The entire philosophy of existence, which science gives, is equally fascinating for me as how the artistic philosophy has taught me. So I feel it is very innate inside me to get attracted to art and science very naturally. I've never felt that, okay, I'm a techie person, so I'm not supposed to go into art, or I'm an artistic person, so techie culture is very dry. Fortunately, I didn't find like that, and that was my, I would say, the it made me more interesting, my journey more interesting because of these two factors coming together. So if I had been just a techie, I wouldn't have enjoyed my life this much. At the same time, I would quote, if I was just a dancer, I wouldn't have enjoyed this much. So both the ends have complemented each other so much. For example, in my office, I learned how logically you are supposed to take a project and not get emotionally driven somewhere, and how being very practically taking up decisions, delegating stuff, and also finishing everything on time. This is majorly the work culture, how it is. And because I know what does an HR do, what does a manager do, all that culture, I could replicate that in my academy, Sri Ranmay Nrityalaya, where I have completely dedicated team who works for the media, for the fees, the finance, the artistic creative projects. So it is that way very, very organized in my academy. At the same time, if I see the effect of my artistic culture there, it is because I am into art. I do not take that much of stress that IT culture gives me, because it's very as an artist on stage, when we go, like, we have to show that particular rasa on stage, though we have a very opposite rasa going inside at home. So it's a very you need to be in control of what you think and what you feel and how much you can let it bother you. So that way it has helped me cope up the stress of IT culture so much. So I wouldn't pick one among them.
I mean, everything that you were saying were making my head pop with lots more questions, because it is so fascinating to see somebody interspersing creative and logical, when in fact I know from working in this field that there is there is a logicality in the creativity as well, isn't it?
Yeah.
And what I was sort of fascinated about, because you spoke about Natyashastra in your speech, and I thought I'll kind of, because Natyashastra is also the expression of things which are within, but which are kind of ascribed or which are attributed to somebody else. How does Natyashastra help in personality development? I'm really keen to know.
If you ask me what was Natyashastra created for, it was purely for. Um, in fact, there is one first chapter in Natyashastra which is called Natyotpatti, and the whole story that revolves around one point is uh, it's a very Puranic way of telling, but the gist of it is when you have to teach something related to dharma. And when I say dharma, it is purely about what is your duty, what is the right and wrong, and what are you supposed to do at so and so situation and all that. If you have to teach something related to this, it generally gets boring because people don't like to be preached and they go away, and especially kids. They are like, ये सब तो सुनते रहते हैं, अभी ये मत बताओ, हमको बस खेलना है, enjoy करना है. When this topic is, it is so important for everybody's life, but then it is becoming so boring. It was dance and drama which was introduced to teach about these things in a very entertaining and dramatic way, where the audience is entertained. And entertainment is considered as one of the very important factors according to Natyashastra, and even Abhinava Gupta's work. If we see, they give a lot of importance to entertainment, because if you cannot hold the attention of the viewers, then the basic point is not achieved. So holding the attention, entertaining them, and without any regular conventional way, but then very artistically, very, this can be very creative. So using the creativity, you teach about dharma through dance and drama. And what else do you want in life beyond this is what I feel. So that is the Natyotpatti that the first chapter of Natyashastra describes about. And practically, if I would say, uh, it is a very technical text. It is not something like we just read it like a novel, but a very technical text which talks about each part of dance and drama in detail. For artists, it is the book. If you don't know Natyashastra, then somewhere we are not doing it right. I would say that. But then, after knowing that, after learning about the technicalities, using it again becomes the responsibility of the artist. You can use it to teach anything. It's a tool, and it's more like you have the power in your hands, and how you use it is what the point is. So, but then the whole point of creation of Natyashastra was this.
Right. At least three more tangential questions, but I would ask them in the following way. From balancing your work with which is highly logical and keeping your sensibilities and sensitivities alive when you are presenting your art form, I think that has percolated down to what what the way how I discovered you, Ardhanarishwaram. We'll come to that in the latest questions. But as you mentioned, the challenges lie in entertaining and yet conveying the message of dharma. I believe everything that Bharat Muni, every art form that Bharat Muni envisaged, all the Kathak, Kuchipudi, Bharatnatyam, etc., to the Natyas, to the Kavyas, etc., there is always a end goal is conveying the message of dharma and Sanskriti, etc. But in doing so and in learning so, personally as well as professionally as well as when you present it on a bigger stage, have there been any challenges? Have there been any obstacles? And if so, uh, how did you manage to overcome them, and or how did you learn to live with them in certain cases?
Obstacles related to which specific area? Because there are so many.
By all means, go on.
Okay. I would say for me, I wouldn't say obstacle, but then the challenge for me was balancing these two, my IT profession and dance. It has been a roller coaster ride for me. It was not at all easy, and at times it was so overwhelming. But then, fortunately, I never felt that, okay, why am I even doing all this? बस अब छोड़ दो अभी क्या ही करना है. I never felt that because I wouldn't give this credit that I was very passionate and all, but then it was a very natural tendency that I have, and it's something not I have worked too much to get it, but then it's very natural for me to stick to it, though it gets very difficult at times. So first thing for me was balancing both the professions. Firstly, the timings, and fortunately, I have got more or less very understanding workplaces, and they were actually very supportive. In fact, if you see one of the companies that I worked for, which is Capgemini, they have posted on Twitter about my dance career, and they told that you can do both and you can still be successful, and this is how life is, something like that. A very encouraging and very thoughtful post on Twitter, and I feel that was a huge encouragement for me. At the That's about the workplace, but at home I have a super strong team, which is my own family, my parents and my siblings. We are a team of 5 members. Each of us have our own departments. Like the entire creative department is mine. My mom takes care of the attire, the costumes, makeup, and all that. My father is into external events, promotion, the deals that you talk about, and all that. My brother is into the complete tech area, like how do you manage all the audio. My sister is more like she takes the classes when I'm not available because I'm doing many things. So that way, I am super blessed with a very strong team at home. Having both of these, the support at workplace and at home, it still gets challenging at times, specifically when you have so much to deliver at workplace and you have to create something which has to come from the creative inner space, and that requires time, some kind of the calm, that free space. So that is a challenge for me sometimes, where I don't have this liberty of getting that entire free space sometimes, but then I manage it somehow. And I would say personally, over the period of time, I have learned the skill of time management step by step. It was not easy in the beginning. It was very difficult, I would say, not just not easy. So now I have the entire day very meticulously planned. Even sometimes because of my work, I tend to forget to drink water, because of which it affects my body. So I have alarms now. So it keeps reminding me, okay, now this is your drink break, go have your water. So it might sound a little robotic, but then that's how it is for me. That's how it works for me. And very meticulously planned days. Apart from that, I would say um, use technology the right way. We think that the phone is our enemy today, but then my best friend, my the whole work happens through my phone. I use it very, very smartly, I would say. I would take that credit because none of my people at home ever say that, why are you always on phone? They always say that she's working on phone. So that way, I have used technology the right way, and it is my friend, not an addiction. And even Instagram, if I watch, it gives me so much about today's generation. What are they thinking? What creativity you can bring, and how is the audience today? It's very important to stay connected to today and not just be okay. I learned this, but then the audience, when this was created, was different, and today the kids are different, the youth is different. They have to get convinced. So all my pieces are generally focused on today's youth and kids. So that way, I would say it's a very step-by-step process that you learn to balance things and learn time management. And one point I would say is, how much ever we say smart work is good, but ultimately the ground level पे जो hard work करना है वो करना ही है. So we might do a lot I would say it should be 20% or 30% of smart work during the design phase or decision making phase. But then when things have to be executed, when you have to deliver, it is hard work. You can't escape that. So this I learned the hard way. I did quite few things to surpass the hard work, but then it doesn't happen. You have to do it. And living in the present is what I really do. When I'm at work, I never think of dance, and when I'm in dance in class, I never think of work. So this all I could learn over the period of time. It was not something you can start with. So living in present, uh, understanding that hard work is something you cannot escape, and yeah, I think this is all together helps me go through all the challenges.
Right. So you spoke about your calm place, and that helps you keep grounded and that helps you keep focused. Although I can sense what that calm place or the calm process is, but I would like you to explain it a bit more about that.
Oh, that would be my most favorite part to talk about. My calm place is something I generally go to temples, like not crowded temples, but then very breezy, open land temples where I feel temples are my go-to places for energy. I sit there, I just watch. I don't do anything specific like so and so and so kriya and all, nothing like that. I sit there, I watch. Uh, Another calm place for me is movies. Though it might sound not very convincing, but then my calm place is definitely movies. I being lost into some story makes me forget the stress I might have sometimes. And thriller is my genre. So I like intelligent movies where you are on your toes to see the suspense and all that. So these things keep me, I wouldn't say grounded, but then they bring me back from whatever I'm going through. So temples and movies and books. I would give credit to books also, especially not the technical books. I would say Natyashastra is when I'm fully charged. I wouldn't go to Natyashastra when I need energy. I wouldn't just like that say that Natyashastra solves everything. No, you need some kind of, I would say, arahata is the word. I don't know how to tell it in English. Some kind of eligibility to even open Natyashastra. So it's not like a book for everyone. But for me, during the times when I do not have that energy to create something, these are the things I do. And my calm place is generally very spontaneous. I do not plan it like, okay, I have to create this or that. Ekam Ardhanarishwaram is super spontaneous, completely spontaneous. And I'll talk about it in some time when we come to that topic. But then these are how my most favorite creations have happened, very spontaneous. And when I'm not too much involved into the daily course and all that.
I'm going to ask you about the Ardhanarishwaram anyway, so go on. We are really keen to hear more about that.
Okay, before that, I would say about my research first, because uh, this research is something which has changed everything for me. I was a dancer, I was a techie, that's all fine. But then the moment I did this decision, I made this decision of going into an official research, like a proper research. Things have turned in such a way that now when I connect the dots, it's really, really beautiful. I would really say that my PhD research, though I've started like 2 years back, this is my year. I'm anticipating that I'll finish the research this year and submit the thesis. I'm trying my best, but let's hope. I don't know. But then it was 2 years back when I started officially. I realized that it was on paper 2 years back, but then my work has started 10 years back. Because the topic that I've chosen is Shiva Tattva. And Shiva Tattva is not something you can do in 2 years. It's more like I was in my teenage when this fascination for Shiva has grown so much in me that I used to go to Shivalayas and had this very, I don't know why, but this habit of collecting Shiva stotras and writing it down, like literally handwritten. I had this, I don't know why, I could take a printout, but then I used to write. I was very good at calligraphy also. I used to take those stotras, decorate it, write it, and make a book out of it, and then go to Shivalayas and read them. And I feel so much of thrill in reading those stotras, Shiva Tandav Stotra, Shiva Manasa Puja. So many. I had almost like 25. So I did that, and somehow after that, before that, my family is very, very spiritual and religious. I wouldn't even say them as two separate words. I think they are both same. You can't be spiritual and not religious. So that's a very new agey thing that we are going through today. But then my family fortunately has given me this environment of being rooted to Dharma, about our culture, our rituals, and taught me that rituals are not something you can just like that throw away and only think that बस मन के अंदर है तो बस है ऐसा ऐसा नहीं है. So that way I had a very good environment at home to explore this part of life. From there, when I started watching, now when I see the journey, from there, it very organically started at our home to start visiting the kshetras of Shiva. And I finished visiting all the Jyotirlingas, all the Chardham, the Panchabhuta Mahalingas, and each of them gave me very, very unique experiences. I wouldn't say some divine experience, something came and I saw something, no, but lot of inspiration came through that journey that I did to all these Jyotirlingas. And each of the places, all those kshetras, I used to talk to the local people there, know the folk stories, because the people there know it much better than the books, I would feel. I used to discuss with those vendors, especially those old ladies who sell those fruits and flowers. I used to sit with them and talk about what is the story of this temple. Why is Tuljapur having this? I heard in one of my family traditions, I came to know that there is this instance where Tulja Bhavani and Bhavani Shankar play Pachisi, the game of dice. But then I didn't see it in any of the official books. I don't know, maybe I didn't find the right books yet. I went there and I sat with those vendors. That old lady was trying to sell me flowers. I took the flowers. But then she explained me. I asked her, what is the essence of the story? She literally showed me the direction, how to go to that particular small temple, how there is this vigrahas of Shiva and Parvati sitting and playing Pachisi. And she took me to those, it was more like a cave. I wouldn't say cave, but then it looked like that. So that way, very organically, I met people who spoke about the local folk stories in those areas. And that way, I came to know so many stories about Shiva and Shakti, and both the classical way and the folk way. That's the most beautiful part I would see. I was not sticking only to the classical or bookish work, but then what evolved in that region very organically. So I went to these places, I spoke to them, and then slowly I started getting connected to a lot of text. One is the Shiva Puran, then Yoga Vasishtha is my one more very favorite work by Vasishtha Muni. And I would say the Upanishads, especially the Brihadaranyaka Upanishad and Skanda Purana, these were something really big for me in the initial days. I didn't know that I will ever go to these books. But then with his grace, these books came into my life and I understood the Tattva of him much better. Then slowly, this fascination also got connected to my art. The fact that I was dancing and also doing this unconscious research, it became conscious when I finished my certificate and diploma levels of dance. Then I understood that, okay, maybe dance has entered my life and this has entered my life, and somewhere these should get connected very organically. I felt that, and I started seeing how dance can be a path of devotion. Through that, slowly it converted into now this a proper research which I have taken up. And I would say the reason I've taken up PhD research is very selfishly to get this whole discipline of sticking to a schedule and reading the number of books in so and so number of days or whatever it is. Because when we are into a very casual way of research, it doesn't happen, the most effective way. But then because of the timelines that I have and all, I could read a lot of stuff in very less amount of time, and very effectively it has been going on till now. So that way, my research is not just for the degree or something, but it is all the things that I've done all my life. This research is connecting all those points. So it's very special for me, and I feel that that's the biggest thing I must have achieved today, to be able to connect everything that I've done. So through that research, this thing called Ekam Ardhanarishwaram happened. Department of Language and Culture, Government of Telangana, the director of this department, Dr. Amidi Harikrishna sir, he is the one who encouraged me to go ahead to make this production. Before that, I had done Ekam Krishna. That was a huge hit and people had loved it so much. That was a very smaller version, like 20 to 30 minutes one. This Ekam Ardhanarishwaram is almost like 1.5 hours. And what an enormous journey it was to create that. So, first inspiration for me was to create something related to Shiva. That is very short. But then how Shakti has entered into it and how she made her place and told that I want to be here. That's what I feel. That it's so very spontaneously things happened, and Ekam Shiva became Ekam Ardhanarishwaram. And the whole point that Shiva and Shakti are not separate, and Shiva is the unmanifested energy, and Shakti is the manifested form. All this was happening